Alright, you guys, welcome to the Flash After Show, where I talk about each week's episode of The Flash. We are back from our mid-season break. Today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 10, entitled Revenge of the Rogues. And, yeah, let's just jump right into it. I'm assuming most of you have watched my other after shows before, so you know my format and how I do this. The positives, let's just jump right into it. Um, Beginning of the episode, we see, Barry and, the whole Star Labs crew. They're basically training harder. Barry wants to get as the best as he possibly can after the whole Reverse Flash incident. He's training harder, and there's a moment where he catches like a rocket type thing. That was badass. I love that. And Cisco says, "Well, we already have a name for him, the Reverse Flash." Um, and they're all like, "No, no, no." And then Wells actually goes, "I like it." So that was cool. Of course, he would like that because, well, again, I'm not 100% convinced that he is Reverse Flash. And if he is the Reverse Flash, he can't be the only one. It doesn't make sense. But I'm not going to get into that in this after show because there wasn't too much on the Reverse Flash in here. Um, Heatwave. Heatwave and Captain Cold were in this episode, and of course I love Captain Cold. If you guys saw my episode, or my episode of my after show where I talked about the episode of Captain Cold was in, I absolutely love Wentworth Miller as Captain Cold. I was so excited for him to be back. We got Heatwave in this episode with him, but he has a line when he's talking to Captain Cold, and he says, "People who have much money spend it on stupid stuff." Or no, he says, hang on, I wrote down here. "People who have too much money buy stupid stuff." And I'm like, you know what? That's actually pretty true. I mean, I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a minimum wage job, but I buy a lot of stupid stuff. I'm not gonna lie. Um, so yeah, I mean, I thought that was a little cool little moment. Wells finally getting on the nickname team, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. Cisco's always the one who giving these guys these nicknames, which I like that aspect of the show, that that's where all their names are coming from, is from Cisco. And in this one, Wells got in on it, and he actually nicknamed one of the villains. And I'm like, fucking hey! Wells is becoming more of a team player. It's good to see him develop that way because I do like the character of Wells. I don't care if he's a dick or not. I love Wells. To me, is one of the best aspects of this show, in my opinion. Notice I said one of the best aspects. Um, Barry admitting that he's scared. Um, he goes up to Joe and he's like, "Look, I'm scared. I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody in the city, especially the people that I'm closest to." Basically, it's essentially what he's saying. And I like the fact that Barry admitted that he was scared. It shows another side to his character. It shows that he's not this all-powerful metahuman with super speed and can do anything he wants. And it shows him that he's human. He's relatable. You know, he's a relatable guy. Things are still weird between Barry and Iris because in the mid-season finale, um, Barry finally confessed to Iris that he loves her, and Iris was moving in with Eddie, and it's been about a month or so since that. So it's glad I'm, it's good to see that they're still kind of having problems, if you want to call it that. It's still awkward between them, and I like the fact that neither of them got over it just yet. So I think there's potential there to develop a really cool storyline with that. I mean, it is a cool storyline already, but to develop it deeper. So that's cool. Um, Cisco got to really, really help a lot in this episode. He got to help the police with their, like, I'm gonna call it their temperature armor. He takes their shields and he basically have some resistance against flame and ice for Heat Wave and Captain Cold. And I like the fact that he was involved and he was getting the police involved and they were working together. And, Cisco, he was a big part of this episode. Um, Captain Cold and Heat Wave, speaking of the temperature armor, as I'm going to call it, um, they're getting frustrated because they're trying to take all these cops down, and they notice that their shields are like resistant against their guns, and it's like, oh, all right, they're getting pissed off now, and when villains get pissed off, they're gonna fuck shit up. Um, so yeah, I love that moment. I thought that was really cool. Um, there's a moment where Barry tells Wells, he's like, look, I know I haven't always been, the nicest guy to you, and I know I've made some mistakes along the way, but you've helped me to do better. And then Wells just looks at Barry and says, believe it or not, you've helped me do better too. Now, what does that mean? Does he genuinely mean that? Or is he just saying this because this is how things have to go? Because he knows the future, um, so he knows, everything has to happen a certain way. But I really think that in that moment, Wells genuinely meant it to Barry. I really think he did. Which is, again, another reason why I'm still not 100% convinced that Wells is Reverse Flash. I think he's trying to help, and he knows who the identity of the Reverse Flash is, but, I just think he's trying to get Barry on the right path. Um, so yeah. Captain Cold and Heatwave kidnap Caitlin and call Barry, well, they call the Flash out. And this scene was very Dark Knight-ish to me, because not only did you kidnap somebody that was close to the hero, but you also made a videotape like the Joker did in The Dark Knight. He was like, this is Coleman Reese. Or no, it was the other guy. It wasn't Coleman Reese that he captured. Um, when he makes it on TV and the dude was dressed up as Batman, he's like, well, why do you dress up like him? It reminded me of that scene. And again, I haven't read the Flash comics, never been a Flash fan up until the show. So, but I do know some stuff about the comics of what could possibly happen on the show. And Caitlin, I guess Caitlin is Killer Frost, which I do know a little bit about. I have the Assault on Arkham movie and stuff like that, so I know about Killer Frost. And I guess Caitlin eventually becomes Killer Frost, and the fact that just Captain Cold had Killer Frost tied up in there, it must have been a chilling moment for the both of them. Um, and then the cops, they finally see the Reverse Flash. They finally know that the Flash myth isn't a myth and that the Flash actually exists. And the cops like, well, I don't believe it. They're like, I don't believe this. They're in shock. And Eddie looks at him and goes, you better believe it. Right? Because the Flash is the one saving all your asses right now. um, and obviously Flash versus the Rogues. And what I mean by the Rogues is Heatwave and Captain Cold. That whole sequence, badass. And speaking of that, they decided that in order to stop them, Captain Cold and Heatwave have to cross streams with their guns. Ghostbusters reference, anybody? I loved that. The whole crossing streams line, and the fact that it pretty much was what they had to do, and the moment when they did it. That was fucking badass. I love that. And then at the end of the episode, Barry decides he's going to move back in with Joe. And this is a moment where, it's a very fatherly son moment. It's like their family, which they are. That is his family. But that whole moment, like I said, it was like a father-son bonding moment is what it was. And Barry goes, all right, Iris is gone, I'm going to move back in. And Joe gives Barry a beer, and Barry goes, I can't get drunk, right? I absolutely love that. And then Captain Cold and Heatwave are being taken prisoner. They're going to, I believe it was Iron Heights, if I read the truck correctly. They're going to Iron Heights prison, but somebody, we don't know who, but somebody breaks them out. So obviously we knew they were coming back. I want to know how big of a part Captain Cold and Heatwave is going to play in the rest of the season, because it's pretty much been set up that the Reverse Flash will be the main villain of Season 1 at least. So I'm wondering if they're going to use Captain Cold any more this season because Flash just got renewed for season two, so they might not bring him back until season two. I don't think they, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they'll use him in season one again. Um, but as much Captain Cold as possible. I'm happy. And then Caitlin. This is the negatives now. It's the only negative that I have actually for this episode. I thought this was a really good episode. Um, Caitlin still looking for Firestorm after Ronnie, aka Firestorm, told her specifically not to come looking for him. She's still on the hunt, and I get it. It's her fiance and everything. But when this dude can set himself on fire, he saves your ass, and then he tells you not to go look for him. I would let it go for a little bit. And you could argue that, well, it's been about a month or so. I don't think that's long enough. I think she should wait a little bit longer to go after Firestorm. Or when Central City is at a giant threat and they need Firestorm's help. I think that then it's okay to track him down. But right now, I just didn't like the fact that she was still looking for Firestorm. And I like Caitlyn, and I like Ronnie as characters. It's just that whole thing in this episode. It kind of felt like it was just shoved in there because they needed more for Caitlyn to do. Because Caitlyn didn't really do too much aside from that. I do like the fact that they gave her a little bit more to do, but it felt a little forced, and I could have had this episode without that. Um, so guys, if you guys watch The Flash, I do want to plug myself here for a second. I have made a Facebook page that you can go like. It's a Flash fan page. It's called The Flash Fan City. Go over to Facebook, like the page, and if you're interested in becoming an admin, please go over and like it and message the page. Let me know if you're interested in becoming an admin. Really looking for some to make sure content gets up. Make sure the word about it gets out. Helping it grow. Because I have an Arrow one as well, and the Arrow one right now is doing a lot better than the Flash one is. So if you guys are fans of the Flash, I would really appreciate your help. Go over to Facebook, go like the Flash Fan City, and then let me know if you're interested in becoming an admin. I could use any and all help that I can get for this. And so, yeah, what did you guys think of tonight's episode of Season 1, Episode 10 of The Flash, entitled Revenge of the Rogues? Let me know in the comments below what you thought about it, and, yeah. My name is Barry Allen, and I am not the fastest man alive. Well, see you later.